Humans, as it turns out, weren't the badasses of the galaxy. At least that's what everyone thought. When Earth finally achieved faster-than-light travel in 2157, the galactic community welcomed us with the equivalent of alien finger-pointing and whispers. "Oh look, another bipedal species that hasn't killed itself off yet. How adorable." We were the new kids at school, and the older species had been running this show for millennia. The Galactic Concord, think United Nations, but with tentacles and exoskeletons, gave us a patronizing pat on the head and assigned us a mentor species. The Aqualians, a race of hyper-intelligent octopus-like beings who communicated by changing skin colors, were tasked with helping us integrate properly into civilized society. The irony of being called uncivilized by creatures who regularly ate their mates wasn't lost on us. Captain Jack Harmon of the Earth Diplomatic Corps took it all in stride. A former Navy SEAL with a philosophy degree. Because apparently, Earth figured why not send someone who could quote Kant, while snapping necks. Jack became humanity's primary representative. His unofficial motto, smile, nod, and don't mention how their breathing apparatus looks like genitalia. The key to our survival, Jack often briefed his team, is being underestimated. We're not the strongest, not the smartest, and definitely not the most technologically advanced. But we are the most patient sons of bitches in this galaxy. His second in command, Commander Ellie Rodriguez, had a different perspective. We're like the honey badger of space. We look cute until we're not. With her background in xenobiology and a black belt in 5 martial arts, Ellie was what happened when curiosity and the ability to cause harm had a baby. Rounding out the core Earth team was Dr. Max Wellington, our chief scientist, and the only human who could pronounce the names of 17 different alien species without spitting on himself. His specialty was appearing completely harmless while gathering intelligence that would make alien civilizations nervous if they knew what he was really doing. For 20 years, humanity played nice. We traded, we learned. We adapted. We signed treaties that slightly disadvantaged us because, hey, we were the new kids. We accepted diplomatic insults with grace. When the Vraxians imagine if hornets evolved into people, but kept the personality claimed humans smelled like fermented waste pools, Jack merely suggested they might want to adjust their olfactory translators. The Galactic Concord began to see Earth as the reasonable party to call when disputes needed resolving. Humans became known as the diplomats, the negotiators, the peacekeepers. "They have no idea what we're capable of," Jack once remarked during a private meeting after successfully preventing a war between silicon-based lifeforms over mining rights. "Let's hope they never need to find out," replied Ellie. Unfortunately for the galaxy, that hope wouldn't last. The distress signal came through at 03:00 Earth Standard Time. Max was the first to see it, bleary-eyed and on his 3rd cup of synthetic coffee. "Captain, you need to see this," he called, his typically jovial voice now grave as the tomb. Jack and Ellie arrived at the communications hub within minutes. On the main screen was a transmission from Lumina, homeworld of the Futurians, a species of bioluminescent humanoids whose entire culture revolved around truth and beauty. They were philosophers, artists, and the closest thing humans had to friends in this vast, often cold galaxy. The transmission showed only static, but the audio came through in horrifying clarity. "Earth, please, they're erasing us. Vraxian ships, millions dead already. Help us, we never." Then silence. "Get me verification," Jack ordered, his knuckles white as he gripped the console. Within the hour, they had it. Long-range scans showed Lumina under siege. Vraxian warships, hundreds of them, orbiting and systematically bombarding the planet's surface. The Futurian orbital defense stations were all destroyed. Refugee ships attempting to flee were being shot down without hesitation. "This isn't war," Ellie whispered. "This is extermination." 3 days of frantic diplomacy followed. Jack called in every favor, pressed every advantage, and made impassioned pleas before the Galactic Concord. The response? A formal censure of the Vraxian Empire and the formation of a committee to investigate allegations of excessive military action. "Excessive military action?" Jack repeated, staring at the official response. "They're calling genocide excessive military action." When the Vraxian ambassador, Drell Zak, took the floor at the emergency session, his mandibles clicked in what passed for amusement among his kind. The Futurians violated territorial agreements by harboring criminals wanted by the Empire. They were given the opportunity to surrender these fugitives. They refused. Consequences followed. Those fugitives, Ellie hissed, were Futurian children who accidentally crossed into Vraxian space during a scientific expedition. The final straw came when reports confirmed that Lumina's atmospheric composition was being deliberately altered by Vraxian terraforming ships. The Futurians, who required a specific blend of gases to survive, would be unable to breathe their own air within weeks. Jack sat silently in his quarters that night, staring at a small holographic display showing the remaining Futurian cities burning. His communicator chimed with a message from Earth's president. Diplomatic options exhausted. You are authorized to implement Protocol Omega. God help them all. Jack's face transformed, a cold smile that had never before been seen by alien eyes spreading across his features. Now we stop being civilized, he whispered. The Emergency Council convened in Earth's orbital defense platform, Orbital Platform D7, or as the crew called it, Doomsday. For 20 years, Earth had maintained this station under the pretense of defensive monitoring. What the galactic community didn't know was that D7 housed the nerve center of humanity's hidden military infrastructure. Fleet Admiral Chen paced the room as holographic displays showed the positions of Earth's scientific vessels, actually advanced warships disguised as research crafts, scattered strategically throughout the galaxy. Protocol Omega, Admiral Chen began, was designed as our response to an existential threat. We never thought we'd use it against another species instead of for one. Jack nodded grimly. The Futurians have less than a month before total extinction. We don't have time for half measures. Dr. Wellington pulled up detailed schematics of Vraxian physiology and infrastructure. For 2 decades, we've been collecting intelligence on every species in the Concord. The Vraxians, given their aggressive posturing, received special attention. Ellie stepped forward. Their military operates on a strict hierarchical system. Take out the command structure, their forces fall into disarray. But more importantly, they have 3 biological weaknesses we can exploit. The room grew quiet as she detailed humanity's plan. It wasn't just aggressive, it was ruthless, calculated, and unlike anything Earth had ever officially sanctioned. This isn't just about saving the Futurians, Jack told the Council. This is about sending a message to the galaxy. Genocide will not be tolerated. Not while humans draw breath. The Vraxians believe us weak because we choose diplomacy, Admiral Chen added. They're about to learn that our restraint wasn't from lack of ability, but from abundance of mercy. Phase 1 would involve simultaneously disabling the Vraxian communication network using computer viruses that Dr. Wellington's team had planted years ago, disguised as routine software updates. Phase 2 would target their command ships with a new weapon the aliens didn't know humans possessed. Quantum-targeted EMP devices that could fry Vraxian neural implants without harming other systems. Phase 3 was the most controversial, deploying a synthesized pheromone that triggered submission responses in Vraxian warriors, developed by studying their biological responses during trade negotiations. This isn't warfare as they understand it, Ellie concluded. They expect frontal assaults, ship-to-ship combat. They don't realize we've been preparing to take them apart from the inside for 2 decades. How soon can we move? Asked Jack. Admiral Chen's reply was simple. The fleet is already in motion. As the council adjourned, Dr. Wellington pulled Jack aside. He realized, of course, that after this, the galaxy will never see humans the same way again. Jack's eyes were cold flint. Good. Then maybe no one else will have to die because we were too polite to bare our teeth. The Vraxian command vessel Inevitable Victory was enjoying the spoils of their successful campaign against the Futurians. Commander Kraz Thul was in the middle of his victory speech when the lights went out. Not just on his ship. Across the entire Vraxian fleet. Status report. He barked into the darkness, mandibles clicking in agitation. No response. Every communication device had simultaneously deactivated. Emergency power flickered on, revealing confused and increasingly panicked crew members. It's on the main display, which should have been dead. A single message appeared in Vraxian script. "We gave you a chance to be reasonable. Time's up." 12 light minutes away, Jack Harmon stood on the bridge of the S-Deterrent formerly known to the galactic community as Earth Science Vessel 12. The ship's true armaments, hidden beneath false panels and energy-dampening fields, were now fully deployed. "All ships report ready, Captain," Ellie stated, her tactical display showing Earth's fleet moving into position around Vraxian strongholds across 3 star systems. "Execute Phase 1, Jack ordered. Across Vraxian space, communication networks crashed as dormant viruses activated. Military coordination collapsed. Defense systems reset to factory defaults, recognizing friendly ships as hostile. In the ensuing chaos, Earth's fleet struck with surgical precision. They didn't target civilian areas or even military barracks. Instead, they disabled propulsion systems, weapons platforms, and command centers. The Vraxian response was disorganized and ineffective. Their neural implants, supposedly unhackable technology that gave their officers tactical advantages, suddenly began delivering conflicting orders as Dr. Hayes Wellington's team executed the culmination of 20 years of covert research. When the Galactic Concord finally realized what was happening, Earth's ambassador calmly addressed the emergency session. "The Vraxian Empire has committed genocide against a peaceful member species. The Concord has failed to act. Earth is merely enforcing the Charter of Sentient Rights that you all signed but apparently never intended to honor." Reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Human research outposts were revealing themselves as military installations. Diplomatic attaches were disabling Vraxian infrastructure with terrifying efficiency. Even human tourists, it seemed, had been gathering intelligence and sabotaging key systems while taking selfies at Vraxian monuments. The Zorak, a silicon-based species known for their analytical minds, sent a private message to their leadership: reassess human threat level immediately. The previous models catastrophically wrong. The Malbori, who prided themselves on their intelligence network, discovered that their own secure databases had been compromised years ago. The humans had complete dossiers on every species in the Concord, their weaknesses, their internal conflicts, and exactly how to take them apart if necessary. "How long have you been planning this?" the Aqualian representative asked Jack's second in command during a hastily arranged meeting. Ellie's smile was chilling. "We haven't been planning anything. This is just what happens when humans stop being nice." By the end of the first day, 60% of the Vraxian fleet was disabled without a single ship being destroyed. Earth had made its point without unnecessary bloodshed, display of precision and restraint that was somehow more terrifying than brute force. 3 days later, the Vraxian High Command found themselves in a situation unprecedented in their 4,000-year military history: complete tactical capitulation. Their fleets were disabled, their communications in shambles, and their leadership structure compromised. The location chosen for negotiation was symbolic: the burned-out husk of the Futurian Great Library on Lumina. Jack Harmon stood alone in the center of the ruins as the Vraxian Supreme Commander, Azak Thar, was escorted in by stone-faced human soldiers. "You've made your point, human," Azak Thar buzzed, his translator struggling to convey the mix of rage and fear in his natural voice. "Name your terms." Jack didn't immediately respond. Instead, he activated a holographic display showing Earth blue, green, and seemingly insignificant. "For 20 years you thought you knew us," Jack finally said, his voice eerily calm. "You saw a species that preferred talking to fighting. You mistook diplomacy for weakness. And restraint for inability." The hologram shifted to show historical footage from Earth's past wars. "Before we joined your galactic community, do you know what we did? We nearly killed ourselves a dozen times over. Nuclear weapons. Biological warfare. We'd been to the brink of self-extinction and pulled back, not because we couldn't do it, but because we chose not to." Another shift in the hologram, now showing Earth's hidden military installations and theoretical weapons designs. "Everything we've done in the past 3 days, that was us being gentle. That was us making a point without unnecessary death. We could have deployed bioweapons specifically tailored to Vraxian physiology. We could have destroyed your homeworld's atmosphere the same way you're destroying Lumina's. Jack stepped closer to the Vraxian commander, who instinctively backed away. You thought we were peaceful because we had to be. The truth is we're peaceful because we've seen the alternative. We know exactly what we're capable of. And now, so do you. The terms of surrender were non-negotiable: immediate withdrawal from Futurian space, reparations for the damage caused, and the establishment of a permanent human peacekeeping force in Vraxian territory. This isn't just about punishing you, Jack explained. It's about making sure no one else gets the same idea. The galaxy has rules now, and they will be enforced. As the Vraxian commander prepared to leave, Jack delivered one final message. Oh, and we've taken the liberty of installing monitoring systems throughout your empire. Systems you won't find, can't remove, and will activate the moment you consider something like this again. Consider it a reminder of the consequences of forgetting that humans don't just talk. We watch, we remember, and when necessary we act. Representatives from other species who observed the confrontation sent urgent messages back to their governments. The Zorak report was particularly blunt: redefine humans immediately, not as diplomatic species, as apex predators practicing restraint. 6 months after the Vraxian correction, as it came to be known in diplomatic circles, the galaxy had fundamentally changed. Earth established the Futurian Restoration Project, leveraging previously hidden terraforming technology to repair Lumina's atmosphere. The surviving Futurians, less than a third of their original population, began the long process of rebuilding their civilization with humanity as their guardians rather than pupils. The Galactic Concord underwent its own transformation. The Charter of Sentient Rights, once a document of lofty ideals rarely enforced, gained new prominence and teeth. An enforcement division, staffed by representatives from all member species but with humans in key positions, ensured that the Vraxian atrocity would never be repeated. Jack Harmon, now serving as Earth's first Security Council representative, found himself approached by the Aqualian leader during a ceremonial dinner. I must confess, Captain Harmon, that we severely misjudged your species. The Aqualian's skin rippled with colors denoting respect and caution. We thought we were mentoring you, but perhaps it should have been the reverse. Jack smiled politely. Every species has its strengths. Ours just happens to be preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. Dr. Wellington, now heading the Concord's new intelligence exchange program, put it more bluntly during a private briefing, but the good news is we'll probably never have to do something like this again. Nothing teaches like a good public example. Earth's reputation transformed from diplomatic newcomers to the ones you don't provoke. Human cultural attaches found themselves invited to more military planning sessions than art expositions. The phrase, "let's get the human perspective," became code for, "let's make sure we're not about to do something monumentally stupid." When a minor species later inquired why humans had reacted so dramatically to the plight of the Futurians, Commander Rodriguez offered a response that would become famous throughout the galaxy. Because today it was them. Tomorrow it could be anyone. And while humanity has done terrible things in our past, we've learned one important lesson. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing but form committees and draft strongly worded letters. As for the Vraxians, their empire contracted, their military restructured, and their culture slowly began to change under human supervision. The generation that grew up after the correction developed an almost religious aversion to genocide and a healthy respect for the unassuming bipeds from the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star. Perhaps the most telling change came in how species introduced themselves to newcomers in the galaxy. The standard greeting used to be a recitation of their technological achievements and territorial holdings. Now it typically ended with, "And yes, we're on good terms with the humans." Because if there's one lesson the galaxy learned, it's that you really don't want to be on their bad side. Those polite smiles hide teeth that evolve to tear flesh, and those extended hands of friendship can just as easily form fists. Sometimes, civilization isn't about being nice. Sometimes it's about making sure the things that go bump in the night are afraid of bumping into you.